Welcome to Brew Crime, the podcast where we drink brews, talk crime, conspiracies, or whatever catches our attention. This is Mike and my co-host.
I'm gonna act like I forgot my name too, because it sounded like you might have just a little bit. I'm
Oh no, I always
JT.
I always think about making something up like you do, and then I don't.
I'm sure there's a good, reasonable reason, like you're a reasonable human. I,
No,
however,
that's not true.
am impetuous and obnoxious. I don't know. I
Oh
just
my.
say or don't say the first thing that comes into my head. So here we are.
I believe that 100%.
Oh, it's been so long since we've seen each other.
Yes, it feels like 30 seconds though.
It does. It does. And your case, although extremely just intensely emotional for sure, there's just
Yeah.
a lot there. Um somewhat pales. The victims' lives do not, but in total, if you consider this
Yeah.
case once I read it to you, eh, it's a thing.
I'm worried.
So I'm calling this script. Yeah. I'm calling the script "Wake Me Up Before You Gilgo." Ah ha. Wake me up before you
Before you
Gilgo.
go.
Because this is about the Gilgo Beach murders and Rex Huerman.
Some little bit of levity before our minds go no.
So when we decided upon this theme, or rather I was indecisive and you put the schedule together, the see behind the curtain. These type of cases were pretty difficult for me to find. And every time I searched for something, one case would come up over and over and over and over again. And I went looking for other cases because, quite honestly, didn't want to do them. It's either overdone or it's so recent. We're still waiting for all the facts, a verdict, and even a final count. That's just, it's not something I typically or traditionally do. But
Yeah.
as you know, if you've listened, I'm not smart. I'm rather impulsive and stubborn. So, with spotlight
Here we
shining in
are.
that grotesque light today, right here we are. Here we. I'm going to be covering as best as I can the Gilgo Beach murders and Huerman. Before I get started, a point of note, and you can quote me on this. I might get some things wrong. I may miss some information. Shit, by the time this comes out, it might be old news and something new was discovered or linked to him. That doesn't mean I didn't try, and that certainly means that I meant to get things wrong. So just keep that in mind. I don't mean to do a disservice to the case or the victims. I did my best.
Yeah.
There's a lot out there, and we are recording this on June 20th, 2024 at 10:29 p.m. So just for everybody's edification.
Exactly.
So the Gilgo, the Gilgo Beach murders are a series of homicides involving at least 10 to 16 victims.
Jeez.
They occurred over nearly 2 decades along a stretch of Long Island's South Shore. The discovery of these remains has led to extensive media coverage, speculation, ultimately the arrest of Rex Huerman in 2023. Now, I'm going to kind of encapsulate this by using a timeline, and in it, I'll describe key events, evidence, the victims, what was discovered throughout the investigation up until this moment of recording. And again, I might miss some items, but I wanted to give a broad overview with the important events and details. So, throughout the timeline, some of these cases are not directly tied to Rex Huerman. However, they have been mentioned because there are some similarities. They still
Yeah.
play a part. And so I'm going to mention them, and I'll notate that they're not officially linked. So you'll hear me say that. All right. February 1st, 1982. We're going back to the 80s. And this is not officially linked. So Tina Foglia, 19, was last seen on February 1st at the Hammerheads music venue, which, by the way, awesome flippin' title for a music venue. I love it.
100%. Yeah.
In West Islip, New York. It could be Islip. There was a lot going on.
No one knows.
Yeah, no one knows. Not anybody.
No, no one.
Um, the Department of Transportation workers discovered her body on February 3rd, 2 days later, along the shoulder of the Southern State Parkway. Her remains were dismembered, placed in 3 separate plastic garbage bags. Tina was known to have worn a diamond ring, which was missing. She was born November 12th, 1962, lived in Brentwood, New York, and worked as a home health aide. Her sister said that Tina had recently started dating a doctor, however, she never revealed his name.
Hmm.
The DNA of an unknown male was found on the garbage bags, and in 2017, police announced DNA testing would be performed. I have heard nothing more about that, haven't seen anything more about that, but this is a case that is similar. That
Yeah.
could be.
And I mean, even if they've got a DNA profile, they're not going to say anything unless they can tie it to someone, right?
Correct. April 20th, 1996. Two female. It's so hard to put this together because when you hear what is found, you expect more,
Yeah.
but there's not. Two female legs wrapped in a plastic bag were discovered on the bayside shore of Fire Island, 1 mile west of Davis Park Beach. Later, April 11th, 2011, the victim's skull would be found. The 2 sets of remains were eventually linked by DNA. On August 4th, 2023, Suffolk County Police announced they identified the victim as Karen Brigada. Karen was 34 when she disappeared February 14th, 96. She had been living in Manhattan at the time. June 28th, 1997, the dismembered torso of an unidentified African-American female was found in Hempstead Lake State Park, New York. The victim was found in a green plastic container dumped next to a road.
Jesus.
Arms, head, and legs below the knee were severed and were not found with the torso. There was a tattoo of a heart-shaped peach with a bite out of it on her left breast. Due to this, and I don't think I agree with some of the names the victims got from police, but they called the victim Peaches. I understand the need to specify, but I feel like there's other ways.
So what'd they call them?
Peaches because of the tattoo.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. They seem to think that she died only a few days before being found. Now, that was 97. April 11th again, 2011, Nassau County Police found dismembered skeletal human remains in a plastic bag and referred to them as Jane Doe number 3. In December of 2016, Peaches and Jane Doe number 3 were identified as being the same person. What is phenomenal to me in all the worst ways is that some of these things, like the first portion of body is found in the 90s, and it is not until 2011 when the rest is found.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Jumping to November 19th, 2000, a female torso is discovered by hikers in Manorville. It was found wrapped in garbage bags, dumped in the woods near Halsey Manor Road. The body had been cut into pieces, placed in plastic bags. It was estimated that she had been dead for several weeks before being found. They named her Manorville Jane Doe.
That is literally one of my nightmares, to find a body while hiking.
Yeah. And then, again, April 4th, 2011, a skull, pair of hands, and a right foot were found in a plastic bag near Ocean Parkways on Gilgo Beach. These remains would be designated Jane Doe number 6 until being linked to Manorville Jane Doe. And in May 2020, police positively identified Manorville Jane Doe as Valerie Mack. Valerie was last seen by her family in the spring-summer of 2000 in the area of Port Republic, New Jersey. She was never listed as a missing person, which I found interesting, but there might have been a reason. I don't know. Her last known address was in Philly, where she had been working as an escort. That might have been why.
Unfortunately, that is probably exactly why. Yeah.
Yeah. So she chose the name Melissa Taylor while working. She was a white female with brown hair, hazel eyes. She was 5 feet tall and weighed around 100 pounds. So, big, strong man trying to take out somebody. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one that's not officially linked, but November 23rd, 2000, hunters found the remains of a white or Hispanic man in the woods off of the eastbound side of the Long Island Expressway, LIE for short, the LIE, near North Shirley. The victim had black hair, was wearing blue and white striped Gap boxer shorts. His age was estimated between 30 and 45. He was 5'6" to 6 feet tall, weighed 130 to 150 pounds. There was a surgical staple embedded in his chin. He had multiple injuries, including crushed larynx, which implied he was strangled.
100%, yeah.
July 26th, 2003, the dismembered torso of a female missing head and hands was found in Manorville, New York. 7 months later, the victim was identified as Jessica Taylor. Jessica was originally from Poughkeepsie, it's Poughkeepsie, New York, and left home as a teenager. She eventually made it to Brooklyn, where she spent 3 years under the control of a pimp named Khalil White. She occasionally traveled up and down the East Coast and had made statements indicating that this was not what she wanted and she wanted out.
Yeah.
During a trip to D.C., she decided to return home. She left on July 15th, 2003, and was reported missing by Khalil White later that day. Turns out her vehicle broke down, but she was able to hitchhike back to Brooklyn. She was reported to have been seen a few days later between July 18th to 21st, 2003, at a Port Authority bus terminal in Manhattan. On July 26th, her body was discovered at the end of an access road off of Halsey Manor Road. As mentioned, it was only a torso found on a sheet of plastic. When she was found, it was estimated she died 2 or 3 days beforehand.
That's awful.
There was a tattoo on her right hip that was mutilated with a sharp instrument, which, obviously this person, this unsub, knows that's how you, but it was they figured out it was a red heart with an angel wing that said Remy's Angel in reference to her pimp.
Oh, jeez.
Classy.
Yeah, it almost sounds like a brand then.
That's modern branding.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Exactly. So a Washington, D.C. detective noticed the tattoo and actually recognized it, linked it to Jessica Taylor 7 months after her body was found. May 9th, 2011, a skull, pair of hands, and a forearm were found, and those were tied to Jessica Taylor as well. This one's not officially linked, but November 10th, 2003, a body badly decomposed was found in Manorville, 400 yards south of the LIE. A hunter discovered the body 3 miles east of where Jessica Taylor and Valerie Mack had been dumped. At the time, autopsy results were inconclusive. The victim was Caucasian, 35 to 50 years old, about 5'6", and had died up to 4 months earlier. Now, while the victim was identified in 2015, the family asked authorities not to release his name, and it's still an active homicide investigation.
Interesting. I'm surprised the police would actually not release the name.
Yeah, I don't know how much strong arming there was, but I guess ultimately it's the family's decision. I'm sure they find it somewhere.
Oh yeah, but if they don't want it out there, then
if
obviously
they
don't share it.
Yeah, I'd imagine if they do and eventually link it to Hewerman, probably will come out.
Probably, yeah.
This is another one that's not officially linked, but March 3rd, 2007, a suitcase containing the dismembered torso of an unidentified or light-skinned African-American female washed up on a beach at Harbor Island Park in Mamaroneck, New York. A stab wound was located on the torso. Then on March 21st, 2007, looks like it's 18 days later, of her dismembered legs washed up at Cold Spring Harbor, and the other leg washed up at Oyster Bay in the village of Cove Neck. Yeah.
Awful. Just awful.
The victim had it's horrible. It's absolutely terrible. This victim had a tattoo of 2 cherries on her right breast. She's never been identified, was referred to as cherries by investigators because they're original.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Estimated to have been around 5'4" to 5'6". Yeah, right. And so we're going back to the link stuff. July 9th, 2007, Maureen Brainerd Barnes, 25, was last seen on July 9th in her room at the Super 8 Hotel in Midtown Manhattan. She left her home in Connecticut to meet a client she booked through Craigslist. She was robbed by someone outside of the hotel, decided to return home to Connecticut. Her last known phone call was to her sister, Missy. She was reported 5 days later on July 14th. After her disappearance, a friend of Maureen's received a call from a man on an unfamiliar number. The man said he had just seen Maureen and that she was staying at a whorehouse in Queens. He wouldn't find himself, could not tell her the location of the home. He said he would call back and give her the address, but he never called again. No ad was registered in the
Jesus.
caller's voice.
That's awful.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Maureen's body was found on December 13th, 2010, beside Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. She was strangled. June 23rd, 2008, not linked, but Tanya was last seen around 3 a.m. on June 3rd, 2008 by surveillance cameras, which showed her leaving her building at Van Dyke Houses in Brooklyn. She was walking towards the subway station. Tanya Rush was a sex worker. Her dismembered body was discovered on June 27th, 2008 in Belmore inside a black canvas suitcase. The suitcase was found by a state road cleaning crew next to the Southern State Parkway on the western side. Her daughter tried to file this makes me so angry. Her daughter tried to file a missing persons report, but the police didn't take her daughter seriously until her remains were found.
Of course. Just fucking listen to them.
Why would she lie? Why would they lie? What's the worst that could come out of just looking into it?
Well, we learned in my
Ugh.
case that just doesn't seem to matter for a lot of police. Why look?
Why look? All right, July 12th, 2009, Melissa Barthélemy. I'm going to go with Barthélemy. I apologize if I wreck that name. Melissa Barthélemy was an aspiring hairstylist who was last seen July 12th outside of her apartment in the Bronx. Sometime that day, a bank security camera recorded her depositing $1,000. Her boyfriend slash pimp, John Blaze, said that she had arranged for another $1,000 date the next night. Yeah. You're right. So she had deposited $1,000. She had arranged for another $1,000 date the next night. After her disappearance, her sister received a bunch of phone calls from a man using Melissa's cell phone claiming to be her killer. The calls were placed from crowded locations in New York City like Madison Square Garden, Times Square. Her voicemail was also accessed at some time on July 12th from Massapequa, New York. Her body was discovered December 11th, 2010, beside Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. She had been strangled. June 6, 2010, Megan Waterman, 22, last seen at 1:30 a.m., leaving a hotel in Hop Hog, New York. She was staying at a Holiday Inn Express. Security cameras recorded her in the hotel lobby and later exiting the building. She lived in Scarborough, Maine. While she was in New York, she called several times a day to speak to her young daughter. Her body was found on December 13th, 2010, beside Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. They ended up determining that she had been strangled. In 2011, under a year later, police seized the laptop of her boyfriend, pimp Akeem Cruz, to search for records of clients that could lead them to the killer.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Akeem Cruz ended up being arrested and sentenced for, I think, sex trafficking across state lines. So
that's a pretty serious one.
Bye, buddy.
Yeah. Right.
September 2nd, 2010. Yeah. Right. Yes. September 2nd, 2010, Lynn Costello was originally from Wilmington, North Carolina, but had also lived in Florida for a few years. She moved to New York after her second marriage ended in 2009. She was last seen by her roommate on September 2nd, 2010, leaving her home in North Babylon to meet a client. The client called 3 or 4 times and offered Amber $1,500 for her services. The final call took place at 10:30 p.m. with the client saying he was parked down the street. She left the house without her phone, wearing a pink hoodie and jeans. December 13th, 2010, police found her body beside Ocean Parkway near Gilgo Beach. She, too, had been strangled.
Jeez. I sense a pattern.
You right? December 11th, 2010, Suffolk County Police K-9 unit searching for someone else found human skeletal remains along Ocean Parkway at Gilgo Beach. This victim was later identified as Melissa Barthélemy. December 13th, 2010, police found 3 more sets of skeletal remains close to where they found Melissa. The bodies were 500 feet from each other. December 15th, 2010, FBI offers to assist in the investigation. Police seize a white SUV from the client's Oak Beach residence. The next day, Suffolk County ME reports that 4 sets of remains are all female victims, and they hold a press conference to explain how they identified them. January 19th, 2011, police identify one of the victims as Megan Waterman, who was reported missing June of 2010. January 24th of 2011, police reveal the identity of the 3 remaining victims they found: Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Melissa Bartholomew, and Amber Lynn Costello. Including Megan Waterman, they had come to be known as the Gilgo Beach Four.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Here's where the police don't seem to be on the same page. Some thought it was a single person. Others thought it was more. District Attorney Thomas Spoda states that a serial killer is responsible. He also reveals that all 4 victims worked as escorts using Craigslist. March 29th, Suffolk County returns to Gilgo Beach to continue the search. 1 mile east of the original site, police discover a skull, forearm, and hands. These would later be identified as additional remains and of Jessica Taylor, who was initially found in 2003. April 4th, 2011, police find 3 more sets of human remains along Ocean Parkway between Oak and Gilgo Beach. They found the body of an Asian male dressed in women's clothing. Yeah. The victim may have been transgender. Cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. They found a skull, hands, and foot that they refer to as Jane Doe number 6. Those remains are the ones that were linked to the Manorville Jane Doe.
Yeah.
If you thought it was bad, an unidentified female toddler referred to as Baby Doe was found wrapped in a blanket without signs of trauma. DNA analysis identified the victim Peaches, whose torso was found in 1997 as the mother of Baby Doe. Police think they were killed at the same time.
Sounds like possibility for sure.
Yeah, April 11th, 2011, police discovered 2 more sets of remains in separate locations along Ocean Parkway. There was a plastic bag with upper and lower extremities found near Jones Beach State Park. DNA found this victim, Jane Doe number 3, the mother of the child, found a week prior. So this is Peaches. And then also there was a skull discovered along Ocean Parkway. The victim was referred to as Jane Doe number 7. This was later connected to another Jane Doe. Legs were found in 1996. When I was talking about how they never seemed to be on the same page, that includes individuals, because May 9th, District Attorney Thomas Spoda now says that there wasn't evidence that all the remains were the work of a single killer. Well,
make up your mind.
Did you change your mind? Yeah. May 17th, Suffolk revealed that they were homicide cases for possible links to the bodies found. November 29th, Richard Dormer, police commissioner, that the police do believe one serial killer is responsible.
Jesus, back and forth.
Right. December 15th, District Attorney Thomas Spoda disagrees with Commissioner Dorner's theory that a single killer is responsible, further confusing everything.
Yes.
There's a new interim police commissioner, Edward Weber, due to some legal things from the former police commissioner. So I didn't want to get into any of that, but just know that he's not working there anymore. Then also, I do want to mention that they think that the reason why the FBI their help wasn't accepted was due to some of the crap that the current police commissioner was doing.
Yeah.
February 17th, 2012, not officially linked, skeletal remains are discovered in a wooded area of Manorville. The body was wrapped up in bed sheets, a plastic bag, and duct tape. The victim was a male and thought he had been there for at least 5 years. January 3rd, 2013, also not officially linked, skeletal remains of a woman are discovered in a garbage bag along the shore in Laddington, New York. The victim was wearing a 24-karat gold wedding ring. December 10th, 2015, Tom Sinai, new police commissioner, announces that the FBI has officially joined the investigation. They had assisted in the search for victims, but that's where their assistance stopped. So now they're really...
My God. Maybe it's time, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 10 years too late.
Yeah.
January 16th, 2020, Suffolk County Police released images of a belt found at one of the crime scenes. Letters are either HM or WH, depending on which way you hold the belt.
Yeah.
It's embossed in the belt. Police thought it was handled by the killer. It didn't belong to any victims, so maybe May 28th, 2020, police officially released the name of the victim identified as Manorville Jane Doe. That was Valerie Mack, as I mentioned about before. June 28th, 2021, the state senator Phil Boyle has had it. He holds a press conference, demands answers from Suffolk County officials regarding the investigation into victims found near Gilgo Beach. He asks that a special prosecutor review the initial stages of the investigation and find out if anything went wrong.
Good call.
February 15th, 2022, Police Commissioner Rodney Harrison announces that there is a new task force focused on solving the case. The force includes homicide detectives, the FBI, the Suffolk District Attorney's Office, and the Suffolk Sheriff's Office.
What the Suffolks say?
What the Suffolks? So, in terms of the investigation, some initial challenges. The investigation faced significant challenges, including lack of physical evidence, the transient nature of many of the victims. The involvement of multiple law enforcement agencies also complicated coordination efforts, as we always hear about.
Half of it's just because there's too many cooks in the kitchen. Half is because no one wants to talk to each other.
Yes.
They don't want to give up the case. It's so gross.
It really is. Despite these hurdles, investigators did continue to follow leads and re-examine evidence over the years. There were, as you know, like it started in 1982, there were advancements in DNA technology and forensic analysis, and that played a crucial role in revisiting old evidence. The use of genealogical databases eventually helped narrow down potential suspects. Law enforcement agencies leveraged digital forensics to track down burner phone usage and trace the suspect's online activities. So, now that I've mentioned the suspect, Rex Andrew Hewerman of Massapequa, Long Island, was arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree murder in the deaths of Melissa Barthélemy, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. He was arrested July 13th. It was announced the following day. He might not have been charged with some of the others, but he was very much a prime suspect, and he was denied bail. Detectives then executed search warrants on his home in Massapequa and his Manhattan architecture office. So in terms of Rex Hewerman, he was an architect, and he was a married father of 2. He was the president of RH Consultants and Associates, which is a company he founded in 1994. His adult daughter also works for the company. I tried to find a little of the company, but their website's down. There's nothing on LinkedIn.
I'm not surprised.
Right. There was nothing on Glassdoor, which usually has reviews of what it's like to work at certain places. The company website, while up, said that they worked with places like the Catholic Charities, NYC Department Sewerage Treatment, the American Airlines, and other major companies tied to JFK International Airport. So, successful firm. I would call that successful.
Sounds like it for sure.
The firm's based in Midtown Manhattan, which is actually where some of the victims were last seen alive. He was born and raised in Long Island. He had worked in Manhattan since 1987. He attended Berner High School, and he was actually a classmate with Billy Baldwin, which I find fascinating. Right? I find that very fascinating.
And it's called Berner?
Berner. Yeah, Berner.
Makes you think of St. Bernard's. Berners.
Sure does. It sure does, and I hope it's their mascot.
I hope so too, and now I want to pet a St. Bernard.
I will say this, Bernese Mountain Dogs, their names are shortened to Berners.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe it's, that's it. I'm thinking of Burmese Mountain Dogs. I'm getting them mixed up.
So, you know how, like, when you ask about somebody's reputation, some people will say one thing, other people will say the opposite. So,
the person was the nicest person I knew. Person was an asshole. Yeah.
Hewerman didn't get any of that.
Oh, really?
Some acquaintances from his work described him as arrogant. Others said he was creepy.
Oh my. You don't want a creepy boss.
No, an interior designer who was part of the same architecture networking group as Hewerman said that this is just a networking group. She doesn't work with him, but said that he repeatedly called her and left her a creepy voicemail despite them never having worked together.
Oh.
Yeah. Hewerman has been married twice, shares a 26-year-old daughter and a stepson with his second wife. One of his neighbors who lives right next to that family said the family was quiet. They made, quote, no imprint at all on the neighborhood. Another Another neighbor who lived in the neighborhood for 13 years said, quote, most people don't knock on his door. During Halloween, the kids are told to stay away. He's not a very nice person.
Wow, that's
Uh,
definitely yeah, he doesn't
just
sound like a good
sad.
person at all.
So sad. In terms of evidence, key evidence that led to the arrest, investigators were able to link burner phones used to contact the victims back to Huerman, including burner phones and some of the victims' cell phones, which could be traced back to his office.
Could they be traced back to his high school though? Sorry.
No.
Burner.
Oh. Oh, I see what you did there, and I'm really sad I didn't see it ahead of time. Dang. They also had DNA collected from the crime scene that matched samples taken from Huerman's personal items. Survivors and witnesses described a man matching Huerman's profile, and then investigators tracked Huerman's movements and behavior over time, noting patterns that matched those of the suspected killer.
Yeah, that's not a good sign at all.
No, no. They also did a search of Rex Huerman's computer, and which provided critical evidence supporting the charges against him. And they found the following: search history, keywords related to the victims. So searches included names of the identified victims, indicating a prior knowledge of their identities. He searched for information on police investigative methods, likely to understand how to avoid detection. There were evidence of communications with the victims through email and messaging apps. Some messages were traced back to burner phones used to contact the victims, and Huerman accessed the dark web, possibly to find information on how to commit crime without being traced and to interact with other individuals involved in illicit activities.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going on the dark web, you're either researching illegal activities or being part of illegal activities. There's no other reason to be there.
There's no in the middle
No,
at all.
not at all.
Files were found on his computer, including disturbing images and videos that were consistent with the nature of the crimes. This included images of victims taken at various times. There were digital journals or notes where Huerman documented his thoughts and activities, some of which appeared to be related to the planning and execution of the murders. He used encryption tools to hide communications and files, indicating an awareness of digital forensics. And applications were used to track locations and movements, possibly to monitor the victims or to plan the disposal of their remains.
Mm-hmm.
July 16th, 2023, Suffolk police execute a warrant at a storage unit in Amityville as part of the investigation into Huerman. August 4th, Suffolk County announced that Fire Island Jane Doe, identified as Karen Vergata. January 16th, 2024, Huerman was indicted on new charges of second-degree murder for the killing of Maureen Brainerd Barnes. In terms of evidence, they found a hair on a belt buckle used to bind her that matched to Huerman's wife. And credit card statements show that Huerman's family was in Atlantic City during the period when she went missing while he remained in New York.
That's suspect.
Yep. June 6th, Huerman is charged with the murders of Sandra Costilla and Jessica Taylor. So 2 more. Evidence for Costilla hair samples matched Huerman. Another hair found on Costilla is linked to a woman who lived with Huerman shortly before her disappearance. And then for Jessica Taylor, hair samples at the crime scene again match with Huerman's DNA. Vehicle records showed Huerman purchased a Chevy Avalanche shortly before Taylor's death and traded it days after her remains were found. A witness saw a vehicle matching Huerman's at the location where Taylor's body was later discovered, and Huerman accessed an article about Taylor's murder and attempted to erase his browsing history.
Oh my God.
Right. So I had mentioned some stuff about the hard drive, or his computer. The hard drive that was recovered from his basement had a document titled HK 2002-04, which detailed methods of victim selection, murder, and evasion of law enforcement. And so I found a picture of this. So HK 2002-04, this document it's a fascinating look into, I guess, the mind of a murdering architect, because it's very organized. And I kind of just want to briefly go through some of it. So it's in columns, and the very first thing says problems underlined. And it's DNA, tire marks, bloodstains, fingerprints, MO, plastic bag, cat litter, witness, trace source of supplies, foot shoe prints, photos, misleaders, police stop, truck stuck, fingerprints in gloves, Plastic bags matched to box, hair,
Jesus.
and fiber. So,
Holy shit, this guy had a lot of planning.
yep.
Makes sense he got to go for so long, I guess.
Right. So then he has a list here of supplies. Booties, lye, acid, which by the way, he misspelled lie. Just pointing that out. I'm sure he'd be happy that I did that, which is why. Police scanner, also misspelled scanner, rope cords, saw cutting tools, hair nets, photo film, burn can, foam drain cleaner, body wash wipes, tarps, drop cloths, medical gloves, bags, tape, large electric clips, and ratchet cargo, like a ratchet cargo strap.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, it's the next three columns are prep, and post event.
Jeez. So prep.
Yeah. So pre-prep says vehicle inspection, engage T1. I don't know what T1 is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Recon T1, DS. These are locations. So recon D. Oh, actually, it could have been a victim. Actually, engage T1. So engage that victim. Recon DS1, which is another victim. Locate DS2, which is another victim. Weather report. Recon video cameras. Recon pick zone for video cameras. Then prep, set up stage, holding area, build table, crossbar, hardpoint. And then post event, destroy file, change tires, burn gloves, dispose of pictures. Means he had pictures and
Yeah.
have a story.
Jesus.
In terms of notes, he came up with what happens in the spur of the moment and he needs a cover. The answer, Stockholm Syndrome.
Jesus.
He said, it says, the more you do, the more clues you give. It says, look at the quote, painting, what, why, who. Then he wrote organized v disorganized. Well, he wrote originalized versus disoriginarized.
Okay.
Yep.
It's interesting, like a guy that's a architect, you'd think that they would know their words a little better.
Right. He's got the recon report of the cameras for whatever this part of the crime was. He talks body prep, and it matches some of the victims where it's like wash body inside and all cavities, remove trace evidence, fingerprints, hair, remove trace DNA, remove ID marks, that's tattoos and other marks.
Yeah.
Remove marks from torture, remove head and hands, package for transport.
Jesus.
Then he's got a list of what to dispose afterwards, things to remember. So, for instance, sound travels, control the amount of air in and out to control the noise made. Get sleep before this word for word. Get sleep before hunt. Too tired creates problems. Hit harder. Yeah. Hit harder. Too many hits to take down. Consider a hit to the face or neck next time for takedown.
Jesus.
More sleep and noise control. Oh, here we go. This is, it's just another level. More sleep and noise control equals more playtime.
I want to throw up now.
Yep. Use push pins to hang drop cloths from ceiling, not tape. Use heavy rope for neck. Light rope broke under stress of being tightened.
Jesus.
And then he talks about what to take down and pick up. I know that was a lot, but that document gives you an interesting look that you rarely get.
Look into his disgusting fucking mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, he also had a significant collection of violent pornography, which coincided with how the victim's remains were discovered. As you could imagine, the Gilgo Beach murders had a profound impact on the community. It highlighted issues like vulnerability of sex workers, the challenges faced by law enforcement in tracking down serial offenders, which I feel like they might have put their own challenges in their way. The long duration of the investigation and the eventual arrest of Fuhrman brought a mix of relief and ongoing anxiety. So following the arrest, law enforcement agencies in Suffolk County and beyond reviewed their procedure and collaboration efforts to improve effectiveness of future investigations. And then, in conclusion, the arrest of Rex Heuermann marked a significant milestone in the Gilgo Beach murder case. It also left many questions unanswered. The ongoing investigation and forthcoming trial are expected to shed more light on the full extent of his crimes and bring a measure of justice to the victims and their families. I only hope they're able to connect everybody, but I don't think
Yeah,
they
me
will.
too.
Um, Bottom line, all I'm saying is pretty sure right now I'm not wishing to be near Gilgo Beach or Ocean Parkway.
Well, it's probably a little safer now.
I couldn't believe it. The further and further down I read, I was like another, another. How were they not?
Yeah.
I don't, I just don't understand.
No, it's crazy.
Because that means that at any given time there had to have been at least 8 to 10 bodies just chilling in that area.
Just chilling out. Yeah, 100%. Which
And
is just like insane. That doesn't compute.
right, especially with like the build up and the building on Long Island and everything like I just
Yeah.
see that's one of those cases where he had red flags, but he was just
Yeah.
a weird, creepy dude that people didn't make that jump because of course they didn't. Why would they?
Yeah.
But yeah, that is from for right now and what I could find and what I was able to put together, Gilgo Beach Murders and Rex Hewerman. He's an asshole.
Yeah. And I mean, if something major happens and we remember to kind of follow up, we will.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I'll be interested to see kind of because I like watching the trials and stuff. I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Oh, I'm sure you'll be live streaming that trial.
Mm, if I do, it'll be like a replay because I can't stream during the day. So,
Well, that's true. That's what I mean, though. Like what you do
yep.
with your your live stream.
Yes,
It's-
sir. Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be on there at some point.
at some point.
Yeah. Well, that is Beach Murders.
Yeah, I'm hoping we made you all mountain people too now.
Yeah, no doubt, right? Get away from the get away from the beaches, then we'll have to just do mountain murders.
Well, looks like we've got our next topic.
Upcoming topic, yes.
Upcoming, yes.
We should write that
Upcoming.
down, yes.
Let's remember to write it down.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in to Brew Crime. You can find us on all social media platforms at Brew Crime. We have a Facebook group at Brew Crime the Group. If you'd like to support the show, head to patreon.com/brewcrime now. Money goes towards upgrading equipment and making the show that much better. You get one bonus episode a month, as well as early ad-free access to our episodes. So shout out to our Patreon supporters, True Crime Nana, Three Beers In Podcast, and the faves of our lives. Bye. All cases on Brew Crime are written by Mike and JT or a writer we credit on the episode, and sources are put into our show notes for each episode. We always want to give credit to the people that research the cases we talk about. Check out our store at tpublic.com/stores/brew-crime-podcast, where you can purchase gear like t-shirts, phone cases, stickers, pillows, and all kinds of other cool stuff. Brew Crime's intro was created by Mike using Creative Commons Attribution licensed audio from purple-planet.com, soundbible.com, and freesoundeffects.com. Logo designed by Ben Greenberg. Thanks for listening to this episode of Brew Crime Podcast.
Down this road is a small city once thriving and full of life, but now desolate and abandoned. Well, abandoned save for the horrors rumored to reside within, which I presume is why you're here. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little morbid curiosity, but please, remember to stay close to your guides. We wouldn't want anyone to get left behind now.
Hello and welcome to Nopeville, the city filled with all the terrifying and horrible things that make you say nope.
Nope.
We're your tour guides. I'm Jen.
And I'm Christine, and we invite you to join our tours through the city, including all things paranormal, true crime, and supernatural.
From haunted places to possessions,
From serial killers to cults.
from zombies to cryptids.
You can find out more on our website at nopevillepodcast.com.
And catch a tour today wherever you get your podcasts.
Actually, let me make sure that I'm saying that right. Right? Let me make sure I'm saying that right because somebody will give me shit. Come on. Why is it being difficult? Gosh,
So they're always difficult.
sorry. Here we go. I just want to hear how to say it. Please load. Why are you not loading? I do not have that much open.
It's just angry with you.
Maybe.
We're learning more about the suspect from court documents and some online videos. CBS News investigative reporter Tim McNicholas is live in Midtown where the suspect was arrested last night. Tim, what's going on there now?
Yeah, police are shuffling in and out of this office building where sources say Huerman was at.
Huerman. All right, sorry. All right. So this is about the Gilgo Beach murders and wreck 5-6 to sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I why do they come up with these names? I deeply regret trying to drink that beer again. All right. I thought I found a picture of this one second. Gotta go further. I think this is it.
Actually, will you find it? I'm just gonna run and grab some caffeine. I need
Yeah.
quick pick me up.
Yeah, I'm putting them to sleep.
No, not at all. I'm just tired today.
Here's what you don't see, everybody. He has a very pretty blue and pink butterfly cloud star blanket on his chair. However, it does look homemade. And it looks comfy. Except for the fact that it's 90 degrees outside. And he still can hear me because he has his headphones on.
You like my blanket?
I do like your blanket. It's lovely.
Recently, it was really cold in here.
I believe it. Did somebody make it for you?
I don't know. I think it's Amber's. I don't know where it came from.
No. I just had fun narrating about it.
Oh,
okay.
I know. I heard most of it.
Yeah, I know. I figured you did.